Welcome to Tomorrow.Africa, the podcast that explores the possibilities and the potential of Web3 in the African continent. We believe that the future of Africa is bright and that emerging technologies such as blockchain can accelerate its development. We interview people who contribute to this breakthrough in Africa and around the world and who hold a positive vision for the future. My name is Yassi Lokman and I'll be your host for this podcast. In today's episode, I'll be interviewing Linda Obi. Linda is a Nigerian blockchain entrepreneur and the founder of TechonomyAfrica, one of the major platforms in Africa that provides free and accessible education on blockchain and other Web3 technologies for students, entrepreneurs, and anyone eager to learn more about emerging technologies. We'll be discussing the mission of TechonomyAfrica and its role in the African Web3 ecosystem, its accomplishments so far, and how it has contributed to adapt blockchain education content to local African cultures and languages. We'll also be discussing what a DAO is and why TechonomyAfrica has adopted this model for its governance, as well as the learn-to-earn model facilitated by blockchain to incentivize learners to keep learning on the long term. Linda will be sharing some valuable insights on blockchain technology, the role it could play to facilitate the development of African countries in the future, the opportunities that it offers for the youth in the job market, and why it is so important to see more women enter the Web3 ecosystem in Africa. Linda, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Yassine. Thank you for having me.
Linda, I'm very glad to have you here as one of the first guests of Tomorrow.Africa podcast. You're undeniably one of the individuals that are playing a major role to make things move forward in regards to education on blockchain technology and cryptocurrencies through initiative that you have launched called TechonomyAfrica. So before diving deeper into what you're doing with the projects of TechonomyAfrica on the African continent, let's first talk about you. Could you walk us through your journey, what got you interested about blockchain technology, and what have led you to make the decision to launch TechonomyAfrica?
Great. Thank you so much again for having me, Yassine. Like I was saying, it's always a pleasure to lend my voice, especially when it concerns blockchain technology, creating awareness, driving advocacy, and then, scaling adoption. My name is Linda Obi, and I am the founder of TechonomyAfrica. But before I, drill deeper into what we do at TechonomyAfrica, I'd like to give you a walkthrough on things I've done leading to this point in my life. I come to you with over 18 years asset experience, and this will be spanning across diverse business environment. But I essentially spent the bulk of my career, troubleshooting market frictions across sub-Saharan Africa and pretty much just taking startups and scaling them 2x, 5x, depending on what market friction I'm solving at that point. I have played very critical roles in industries like prop tech, fintech, agtech, and I now am actively solving the problem around bridging the education gap and that all the problems that driving adoption in a continent like Africa. Would sit around. What sparked my interest in blockchain would be when I was during my time at FarmCrowdy. FarmCrowdy happens to be the leading agtech startup in Africa at that time. And what we were doing pretty much was, providing smallholder farmers access to premium market. And at some point, we were executing contracts and I stumbled upon smart contracts and it just made things, very seamless. So that was my first brush with blockchain, vertical in blockchain. And then something happened sometime in 2020. The Nigerian youths, where there was a protest against police brutality and bad governance. And, the youth staged a peaceful protest that, how these things are. And at some point, the conveners, the fiat accounts of some of the conveners were kind of frozen by the government. And, it kind of stifled, trying to pretty much stifle that voice. And that was where I saw for the first time cryptocurrency come to, it's shown through and it's solved, major problems around, transacting and pretty much just funding what needed to be funded. But then diving deeper into, there was this hype around Bitcoin, Ethereum, and the likes. However, I found that there was a knowledge gap. A lot of people are vested in Bitcoin and crypto, as it were, for the hype of it, right? The education side of things was really one where there was a lack and there was a gap. One out of four people would essentially tell you that they've been scammed, right? Trying to, transact using crypto. And that was a problem that needed to be solved, and which is what gave birth to Techonomy Africa, really.
Linda, before talking about the use cases that you're tackling within TechonomyAfrica, let's take some
Mhm,
time to define what blockchain technology is in
mhm,
non-technical words. So, how
mhm,
would you define it? What are its attributes? And why is there so much interest about this technology compared to other emerging technologies?
mhm. Okay, so for me, so what we do is before we, what we do at Economy Africa is really to simplify these things such that you can grasp blockchain and all its verticals in less than say 2 hours, right? We just demystify the whole thing. But in very simple terms, blockchain technology for me, or blockchain is a big digital book where informations are recorded in a way that makes it very difficult or impossible to change, hack, or cheat the system. A blockchain comprises of, blocks that contains information. The data which is stored inside the blockchain depends on the type of blockchain. For example, a Bitcoin block contains information about the sender, receiver, the receiver numbers of Bitcoins to be transferred, and informations like that. Um, Africa is facing unprecedented challenges when it comes to the social, economic, and environmental front, driven by accelerating globalization and a faster rate of technological advancement. At the same time, those forces are providing us with a myriad of new opportunities for human development. Now, speaking to why I think blockchain is unique, right? And why I think it's a technology that should be adopted as quickly as we can, because I think the time is here and now, is because of its ability to increase capacity, cutting across diverse business, different diverse business environment, right? With diverse use cases. This is the very first and the most important feature of blockchain. Blockchain technology is increasing and increasingly improving day by day operational efficiencies across diverse business environments. The transparency, trust, and tamper-proof characteristics have led too many applications of it, right? Scaling of too many applications of it. We have better security, we have the immutability part of things, we have faster settlement protocols, we have the decentralized system where we are having innovations like DeFi, dApps, and you have the DAOs, we have the consensus side, we have the fact that it's a distributed ledger, we have the minting part of it, we have smart contracts, and this has given rise to, I mean, it's almost safe to say that the use cases are limitless, right? Depending on how you choose to iterate. I think the technology, as we find it here in Africa, would iterate, but as it were today, I'm excited and hopeful about the potential that this brings to a continent as Africa.
And what is the role that you're aiming to play in regards to blockchain based technologies through Techonomy Africa? So, can you explain what Techonomy Africa is? What is your mission and the objectives that you're aiming to accomplish within the African continent?
Great. Techonomy Africa is a project-based learn-to-earn platform that teaches blockchain enthusiasts and students how to leverage blockchain and crypto education for skill development, trade, and build real products in areas such as NFTs, metaverse projects, tokens and tokenization, blockchain development, cybersecurity, data science, game development, and programming. All content is organized around projects where learners can skill up with relevant skills calibrated for the digital age. Blockchain education is poised to become a staple of learning, right? And we are leveraging that we are leveraging that early on. Techonomy Africa is building Africa's largest learn-to-earn, blockchain and crypto DAO, right? And we have a database of over 16,000 active and engaged users learning currently on the platform. Um, I personally think that educational technology, which is now edtech, has made great strides over the last 20 years. But there's still a lot, there's still a long road ahead to um, pretty much full modernization. This is the gap that we are seeking to bridge in the fragmented educational system in Africa. We are providing alternative education. We are looking at upskilling as many African youths as possible. We are looking at reaching, deeper ends of Africa. As it were today, Africa is being said to be the youngest population. By 2030, the bulk of the people or population will sit around 18 to 30. But the future, right, looks really bleak when it comes to what is it now? When it comes to competing on a global front. And that is what we are doing essentially. We are resting on three charter pillars. One would be awareness, the second is advocacy, and then the third would be adoption, right? And that is what we are doing. We are progressively also driving the United Nations, sustainable development goals around ending on, or say, zero unemployment, which is why we are, providing alternate education where, the educational system as we find it here in Africa is really not, how do I put it now? For instance, the university has been on a strike, right? And we have students who are supposed to typically be in school, they've been at home for the past 4 months, and then we have the bulk of them learning, alternative skills, which is blockchain technology and different verticals. Number two would be that we are proactively closing the gender divide that sits around what female underrepresentation in technology. It's a global problem. We'll find that even in the big five tech companies, which is Apple, Facebook, and the likes, we find that there's a lot of underrepresentation when it comes to female participation. And then we recently just collaborated with Ecolance. Ecolance is also a Web3 project that is seeking to upskill as many female, what's it called, young African females, just pretty much introducing them into Web3 and then teaching them how to be their own and earn their own and build innovative products. So, yeah, that would be another SDG that we are looking to proactively close. The third would be quality education, right? Where we find that the educational system in Africa, as it were, is broken and fragmented. We are providing, quality, very quality education around blockchain technology and all its verticals. And when I say all its verticals, I mean, like I mentioned before, DeFi, dApps, smart contracts, tokenization, and the likes. So yeah, really, that's essentially the problems that we are solving here at Economy Africa.
So you said, Linda, that you're building an African education DAO with the learn to earn model. So that's interesting. DAO stands for Decentralized Autonomous Organization. For the
Yes.
listeners that do not know what DAO is, could you explain what it is, how it works, and why have you decided to adopt such a model to run TechonomyAfrica?
Great. Very interesting question. First, a DAO is called a DAO, and a DAO is a decentralized autonomous organization. What is it essentially? It's a system where you have, different participants, playing across different verticals, come together to share knowledge, right? And then there is always a governing body who would either, agree to, or how do I put it now, make certain decisions. The reason why we've chosen to, and the DAO is at the very end of our value chain or at the very end of our roadmap. We're starting first with, creating awareness, then building a massive community, and then we'll launch, going to tokenizing the particular DAO where, creators, learners, users, whoever you are, just playing across the corridors of blockchain technology can come in, to pretty much leverage on the tokens. Either you leverage by earning to learn, or you leverage by distilling information and then earning, depending on what it is you want, right? That is what a DAO is. A DAO pretty much gives everybody freedom to be and to just be you and express yourself. So whether you're a content creator, whether you are an illustrator, whether you are an educator in blockchain technology, whether you're a developer, right? You can come in and have as much veto power as everybody else, right? Pretty much to put in your stuff. It is seen by everybody. Essentially, why we have adopted the DAO model is such that, it is open, it is decentralized, right? It is democratized for all. Education does not have to be, how would I put it now, hoarded. It has to be decentralized. And we are fast approaching into that, digital decentralized economy. And it makes sense that, our business and our solution is modeled in that or along that corridor.
And how about the learn to earn model? How does that work concretely?
So one thing I have come to realize in fixing market frictions, especially or scaling businesses, especially in Africa, is you need to give something, right, for people to. So it's a cultural problem. We do admit that it is a cultural problem. You have to be willing to, give out freebies, freemiums, for people to want to learn, right? Now, as a people, we need, and I mean, understanding the consumer persona and understanding the buyer persona of the market we are looking to address, right? You'd have to give for people to come on board to learn on your platform, which is what we are doing. As it were today, crypto and blockchain is a very complex subject, right? And it is not enough to just disseminate what's it called now information across. We would also want to create and share wealth. We want people to own their first wallets by engaging with Economy Africa. We want people to own their first crypto tokens by engaging with Economy Africa. And we have leveraged several partnerships. People who are looking at what's it called now, kind of creating some kind of sensitization of their projects right into the African market. We've leveraged them, done our due diligence, and then we're proud to say that we've had on our platform people who actually um, own their first blockchain wallet simply because they came on our platform and they learned on our platform. We recently just incentivized learners with the Cardano ADA token, and we chose the ADA token because of what it represents. The green coin, it's scalable, and we just wanted to pretty much create as much awareness as we can, right, around what the blue chip coins and tokens would be, and then the green altcoins tokens would be. So we incentivize with the Cardano ADA, and it's not been really smooth sailing, but I think that would continue to get there as we educate one African at a time.
Could you share some of the highlights of your accomplishments and what you were able to accomplish so far with Techonomy Africa?
Great. So what started as, pocket of communities, like I said, it started riding on the back of the protest that we had in 2020. And then I saw the need to, just begin to educate. And it started from WhatsApp communities. And we started from WhatsApp communities. We had so we you know what the cap would be. We had several WhatsApp communities, and we realized that Africans are ready, right? Africans are ready for what it is we have to say. And then it pretty much scaled in its first year to 8,000 users, where people came in to just understand what we're doing essentially at that time from 2021, 2020 to 2021 was, introduction to cryptocurrency and what it was, right? And then we educated as much as 8,000 people across all of Africa. And there is something that keeps, that is staggering for me. I would want to link that to also all the work that we are also doing or we've also done at Economy Africa. Interestingly, around July 2020 to June 2021, African received a staggering 105 billion US dollars worth of cryptocurrency in remittance payment. Now, why are we seeing that surge? We are seeing that surge because we are proactively educating, right, on best practices as to how to transact in crypto. Now, that cohort of 8,000 has since grown to 16,000 for 2022, and we recently just launched our free course. It is important to note that our courses are actually free of charge. We recently launched our course in Introduction to Blockchain Technology, and then just pretty much break that down. We have 16,000 users. We've been able to leverage partnerships with very interesting projects. Right, we have DeFi projects, we have metaverse projects, we have what's it called now? We have NFT projects, right? People who have come in to actually impact on Africa. And then we recently, like I mentioned, just signed a JV with Ecoland where we are going to be educating as many young African females as possible. So I mean, I think this speaks to all the good work that is coming out of Techonomy Africa. In the future, we are looking at launching into the metaverse. We know that, I mean, it's the future. And then yeah, I mean that's essentially what we have accomplished over the past 2 years.
Some argue that decentralized technologies have mostly potential in developing countries. So
Mhm,
cryptocurrencies being one of them, as you have
mhm,
mentioned. Do you see some
mhm.
other use cases enabled by blockchain technology that have a lot of potential in the African continent? So we have, for example, mentioned the metaverse. How
Mhm.
do you think this can unfold within African countries?
So before I answer the question, it's important for me to also state that cryptocurrency just forms 10% of the use case in blockchain technology. I understand, I mean, I get the logic around how, decentralization, there is this perceived belief that decentralization would and can aid African countries. I mean, and it's showing up with remittances, right? Speaking to the question around the metaverse, I would say that the metaverse and do you want more better NFTs is giving room to a surge and a boom in the creator economy, right? We see that I mean we have the Gen Zs and then we have the Gen Alphas, and um how do I put it now? What we currently have in schools, and I stand corrected, is not sufficient skill that pretty much helps our youth to compete on a global front. There will be a need, to learn these kind of emerging technologies, of which blockchain is one of them. So yes, the creator economy is surging, right? Web 3.0 is also giving room to a lot, I mean, creating a lot of other opportunities for young African youth beyond, beyond crypto. And then the DAOs are coming. I would like to say something that blockchain technology, like I said, transcends different business environment. So for manufacturing, we see how it efficiently aids supply chain. For identity management and checks, we see how that also helps us correct that. For instance, Nigeria would be having their elections in 2023, and it would be fantastic to have blockchain technology integrated in the electoral and the voting processes, right? Um, what else smart contracts are also coming to play. Inclusion and diversity, increased operational efficiency is a whole lot. Decentralization is giving birth to a whole lot. I'm excited and quite hopeful about the ability, for blockchain and all the verticals to continue to scale efficiency and operational accuracy here in Africa. And I mean this economically, commercially, and across all developmental fronts.
And what do you think are the major obstacles to the adoption of these technologies, and how do you think these obstacles can be overcome?
So, first would be education, right? There are a lot of them, right? But I will start from education first. I feel that we are not people are not speaking to the educational part of things enough, right? It's one thing to have all these innovative products out there, but if you do not understand their use cases, you don't understand how to actually engage with them, then they are just what they are, right? And which are products. And that's why some of these products are really not scaling. So I think a lot of funding and a lot of collaboration needs to happen on the educational side of things. Another would be regulations. Regulations may be a very good thing, right? Sometime, I think 2 weeks or 3 weeks ago, we saw that Central African Republic adopted Bitcoin, and that is a huge win if you ask me. And then sometime last week we also know that 90 central bankers were gathered at El Salvador to understand the technology behind cryptocurrency, right? That also is a good thing. And I want to believe that all of these would give birth to, having very progressive regulatory conversations. I believe that if the space is properly regulated, it kind of endorses blockchain and crypto, right? And it just gives it equity. But in saying this, I also think that a lot of framing needs to be done by, private stakeholders. And I think, and by saying private stakeholders, I think people who are currently um, playing around the corridor of blockchain. And I'm talking about startups, fintech startups. I'm talking about the likes of e-commerce startups. I'm talking about InterSwitch. There are a lot of them that I would really not want to mention names, but I feel that if these people start to, or these private stakeholders start to frame policies, right, around consumer protection, right, frame policies that would form templates for the public sector to pretty much adopt and improve upon, it would solve 60%, if not 70%, of the problems that we are facing around adoption of blockchain, as it were.
And Linda, could you elaborate more about what you have said earlier regarding the representation of females within the blockchain ecosystem in Africa? So, how do you think we could have in the future more female actors that are contributing to the growth of this ecosystem within African continents?
So I'm going to be very honest, because you never know who's listening, and I really want to send a very strong message. I feel that we need to spotlight women doing fantastic stuff in blockchain. I have quite a few ladies that I would mention that are doing really phenomenal stuff in blockchain. However, the lack of funding, I'm just backing female. I hear a lot of talk around, oh, we want a lot of female, want to back female founders, but I really don't see that here in Africa, right? We need to spotlight women, right? We need to spotlight a lot of women doing fantastic stuff. That being said, we need also to create safe spaces for women to come in and be their own people, right? And that is part of the problems we are also addressing in Economy Africa, where we have safe spaces for ladies to come in. I was on I had an interview where the presenter or the interviewer kept asking me, so what are the opportunities for women in blockchain? And at some point I had to say that, see, whatever opportunity presents itself for a man in blockchain also presents itself for a woman in blockchain. The problem is that we need to raise the gender bias. We need to, beat the gender bias. One, we need to create safe spaces. For instance, women can be NFT creators. Women can be blockchain tech founders. Women can be blockchain developers, right? But until we spotlight more women, until we provide funding and back more women doing, building phenomenal projects in Web3 and blockchain, until we start to create more safe spaces, right? We might not be able to scale the impact when it comes to, driving inclusion and diversity, especially when it comes to women representation in blockchain.
And I guess that's also something that you're trying to contribute to through what you're doing within Economy Africa, right?
Yes, and that family rests on, one of the SDGs, which is, gender equality. I did mention that that's SDG 5, yes, just closing the gender divide. We currently are encouraging a lot of women, right? Okay, so if I'm to speak to our cohort, that's the first cohort in 2001, where we had 8,000 users. We had about 73% of, participants being men, right? And then on the course completion rate, we had about 62% of them also being men. Interestingly, in 2022, when we onboarded our second cohort, we had around 64% of participants sitting around women, and it tells us that we are doing, I mean, this is something, and a course in the right direction. We want a lot of women to be more engaged in blockchain and web3 projects. We want to create safe spaces for women to just come in and thrive. And with our recent partnership with Ecolams, right, we are also ending the value chain by saying, come in and learn, right? When you're done learning, at the end of the day, we can also, place you in premium jobs, right, across the globe. That helps you also feed your family and compete favorably with, the male counterpart globally.
Do you think there are already some job opportunities within the blockchain ecosystem in some of the African countries, or is it something that we will see more in the future?
So I would say yes and yes. First yes would be that there are a lot of jobs, right, in the African blockchain tech system. Why? Because we have a lot of projects in blockchain. So we have prop techs, right, like House of Africa building. I mean, they are kind of modeled like Decentraland, right, and they are building amazing stuff. We have a lot of projects, DeFi, we have brokers, we have exchanges, we have content copywriters, we have developers, and we have that. But we also know that we have not scratched the surface in terms of usability and in terms of scalability. So yes, a lot of other jobs are coming, right? A lot of jobs, a lot of opportunities are going to make, I mean, it's making its way to Africa, not just Africa. I also see where we can also outsource our talents right across the globe. Our talents that also can compete favorably. I mean, just against their Western counterparts, and pretty much do the same, if not better work. So yes, the opportunities are here, and then we have more opportunities coming.
So that's an additional incentive for young generations to educate themselves on the technology. It offers so many opportunities, and it's also something that that could be that gives opportunities for all types of skills, whether technical or arts or whatever.
I agree completely. I think, like I said, I think the time is now, right? If you really take a survey, a broader survey, you'll find that children entering education in 2018 to 2022 will be young adults in 2030. But the thing is that schools can prepare them for jobs that have not been created, for technologies that have not yet been invented, and to solve problems have not yet been anticipated. Blockchain is one of them. It will be a shared responsibility to seize opportunities and find solutions, right? Education can equip learners, or practitioners and regulators can equip learners with agency and a sense of purpose and the competence they need to shape to own their own lives, contributing to the lives of others. And I see how blockchain plays a major role in that. We are currently driving progressive conversations in Togo. Togo is a West African nation on the Gulf of Guinea. And what we are currently, saying is, adopt a blockchain modular um, for what you are currently doing, as it were, right now. And we are talking to the Ministry of Primary and Secondary School Education in literacy and the Ministry of Technical Education and Vocational Training, just to see that we kind of upskill as much as 2 million secondary school level students by the end of 2024. And that can only happen if, we integrate blockchain technology either as a curriculum in secondary schools or, as an extracurricular activity, depending on what the case may be. But I see how, blockchain is that technology of choice.
That's awesome. So, Linda, this is a question that I ask all my guests. What is your vision for the future of Africa? How do you think things could look like in the future for the future generations in Africa if emergent technologies such as blockchain are leveraged in the right way?
So I'll say this. With access to education in emerging technologies like blockchain technology, we are proactively, aside advancing all the UN developmental goals, I would say that the future then is bright. Like I mentioned, Africa would be the youngest population by 2030, with the bulk of its demography sitting around 18 to 30. And I also did mention that the educational system as it were today is fragmented, just pretty much broken. And we could leverage skill ups like blockchain technology, right? With all the innovation coming up, I see how a lot of things are going to be obsolete very fast. I was also on a panel that was discussing how, decentralization is going to usurp traditional finance. There might be an integration, there might be an usurping, right? But I see that blockchain technology and all these verticals is going to disrupt, the future as we know it. We've talked about NFTs and all the controversies. A lot of people are like, why? I mean, we do not understand the concept of the NFTs. But I do say that if you do understand the concept of the Mona Lisa being sold at what it is sold right now, because of its premiumness, you understand the concept of the NFT. If you understand the fact of individualism coming in, right, you understand also the concept of the metaverse. Nobody really wants, transactions needs to be seamless. I want to pay monies without physical interaction with humans, and we are fast transitioning into that space where everything would be digital and global. I mean, it will be digital. It just makes sense, right, to start adopt technologies like this. As for the next generation, I am hopeful, right? If you also do a survey of people who are pretty much adopting blockchain and its verticals here in Africa, you'll find that they are the young generation. People who really don't want to go to bank to queue, people who really don't want all the excessive charges, people who really don't want all the scrutiny by the government. There are policies that are dare say ridiculous, right, here in Africa. But we find that, the next generation of leaders coming up are, um proactively trying to solve this problem. So I can only be hopeful, and I believe that the future is bright.
And what advice would you give to the listener that would like to play a role in the unfolding of such a future? What could he or she do to contribute to a future, a bright future in Africa enabled by Web3 technologies?
First, I would like listeners and budding next generationers to keep an open mind. Africa is such that it's embedded with a lot of cultural beliefs, and then because these things are passed down from generation to generation, we are kind of stoic and very close-minded. But with the influx of Gen Zs, with the booming startup ecosystem, we find that we have a lot of open-minded, Gen Zs, and then with, I mean, Gen Alphas coming as well. You need to be open minded. You need to educate yourself. You would need to educate yourself. If you do not learn from history, you are doomed to repeat its mistakes. And I mean, I could go on and on and on about all the mistakes that we have made as Africans. The time to liberate ourselves and just emancipate ourselves from told, not even untold, told and looming poverty and unemployment is now. With the right skill, you can compete globally. And I believe that, there is power in the mind. Whatever you set your mind to do and accomplish, you pretty much will do it. There are some projects that I've seen that, when I read the concept notes at the very initial, I never really believed that this product will see the light of day. But these projects are scaling, and they are scaling very fast. And they are pretty much disrupting the economy as we know it. So yes, please be open-minded, learn valuable skills, especially around emerging technology. One that I really that I advocate for would be blockchain technology. I do crypto. I love crypto. I love the freedom, right, that it presents. But I also would welcome very progressive regulatory conversation that pretty much endorses the space and continues to protect consumers as we know it.
Linda, how could people follow you and learn more about your work with Economy Africa and elsewhere? And how can the listeners be part of the next cohort to follow the courses of the Economy Africa?
So, like I said, I mean, we are everywhere. You can pretty much hit us up on www.TechonomyAfrica.tech. That is our website. On the website, we have a classroom section where you can, I mean, it's a free learn session where you can log in to learn. If you do not want to do it on the online platform, we have pockets of communities where we share our bite-sized courses. We have communities on Telegram. It's at Techonomy Learn Techonomy Africa Learn Community. You'll find us there. On IG, you find us at Techonomy Africa. On Twitter, we are at Techonomy Africa. And then I have a personal crypto platform called Crypto Chat with Linda on IG. It's also Crypto Chats with Linda on Twitter. And then I recently just launched a YouTube channel called Crypto Made Easy. And what we do essentially is, simplify crypto and just break it down. I have friends who do not understand crypto, and I do not understand how they do not understand crypto. So, I mean, I like to mention that I've had conversations with, people who had looked at investing at Economy Africa at some point, and they were like, why? At the very initial, people didn't understand. They thought we were crazy. Why are you trying to scale an educational platform when all of this information exists on the internet? Yes, they do exist on the internet, but starting communities also helped open our eyes to see that this information exists on the internet, but they are not as as broken down and as simplified as it should be. And what we do with our content is that we just Africanize it. You come on, at first glance, you can pretty much you can pretty much understand and grasp what it is we're doing. We are currently translating in three popular African languages, so you have no excuse. You want to learn in Swahili, I mean, you have our content in Swahili. You want to learn in what's it called, Kwanu, you can also learn Kwanu, and then you can learn in Yoruba, which is the most popular what's it called language here in Nigeria.
That's awesome, Linda. Linda, I'm very, very happy that I had you on Tomorrow Africa, and I would be glad to have you back.
Same here, same here. Like I said, I welcome every opportunity to, continue to shape Africa through blockchain technology, advocacy, awareness, and then, just killing adoption. Thank you, Yasin.
I hope you enjoyed this episode. Feel free to visit our website, Tomorrow.Africa, and subscribe to our channels to be updated about the future episodes. We publish 2 episodes per month at the 1st and 15th of each month, so stay tuned for the next ones. And until then, stay curious, stay ambitious, and see you tomorrow.